Welcome people to the Maritime Museum. We focus on this nautical chart of the Scituate coastline, especially if they're not familiar with Scituate. This helps them understand the layout of the Scituate coastline. Up at the north end of Scituate is the Glades, and then Minot and Scituate. We move down the coast to Egypt, Shore Acres, Cedar Point, where the lighthouse is located, and then Scituate Harbor, and then First Cliff, Second Cliff, Third Cliff, Fourth Cliff, and Hummerock, all moving south. This is an image from a postcard of Scituate Light taken around 1910. The lighthouse at that point in time was in poor condition. The top of the lighthouse, called the Lantern Room, had been removed because Minot Light had been activated in 1860, and so the federal government abandoned this lighthouse. So it looks like it's a mess, and frankly it was. We're fortunate that it wasn't even destroyed by vandals. In 1917, the federal government sold the lighthouse to the town of Scituate, and the town then began the process of restoring the lighthouse to what it looks like today. We like to tell people that this is the oldest complete lighthouse in the United States, because the lighthouse tower and the keeper's cottage here were both built in 1811. And if you consider a lighthouse as a complete unit of the tower and the cottage, this is the oldest one in the United States. Boston Lighthouse Tower was built much earlier, but the keeper's quarters, for example, was built much later. Photograph of Minot Light, but it's an interesting one. It clearly shows how you would have to climb the ladder to get from your boat up to the entrance door, which is located right here, which is about almost halfway up the tower. This lighthouse was lit in 1860, and it was automated in 1947 because it was considered to be the worst duty of anywhere in the United States lighthouse service. Because if you were out there and you went into the lighthouse on a day like this, and it was your time to leave for shore duty, and there was any kind of swells or waves out there, you could not get off it. Stuck out there. It was almost like being put into prison. But that lighthouse was not the first one that was out at that location. The first one looked like this. It was called the Iron-Legged Lighthouse, and it had 9 iron legs. The idea was that the waves would simply pass through the structure. The problem was, though, it wasn't nearly high enough, and the Lantern Room and the keeper's cottage area, the quarters area, was located right here, and it was top-heavy. In April 1851, there was a terrible storm, and the 2 keepers out there knew that they were not going to get out of it alive. And they wrote a note, and I'll read the note. Okay. It's right here. Wednesday night, April 16. The lighthouse won't stand over tonight. She shakes 2 feet each way now. J.W. and J.A. J.W. was Joseph Wilson. J.A. was Joseph Antone. The bodies were found later. Obviously, they wanted to have people know what happened to them and what was going on at the lighthouse during that storm. I mean, they're terrified. They didn't have a lot of time to write it. It's not like they had any other way of communicating. That was it. Found in a bottle a few days later.
Picked up in Massachusetts Bay by a Gloucester fisherman the morning after the storm.